Well, good morning, everyone. It is so good to see you this beautiful Monday morning. Welcome to Daily Devotions through Redeeming Life Fellowship. If we haven't met before, my name's Dan. I'm a teaching pastor here, and it's just delightful that we've got this time together to be able to read God's Word, learn from it, and continue to live and grow and learn what it means to be the people of God. We're going to continue through the Revised School reading plan that's been leading us through Isaiah, and today we're going to be focusing on Isaiah chapters 45 through 46. So, B, Tom, Glenn, Bryce, Bree, Faith, feel free to go ahead and pause and read through those chapters, and then we'll come back and reflect on it. So, ready, go. All right. So there's a lot to unpack in these chapters, isn't there? And I want to at least focus or make mention of three things that we might look at. One of them being this mention of Cyrus. Now, if you're reading through Isaiah chapters 40 through 55, you'll notice that this name Cyrus comes up quite a few times. And it's important to recognize who Cyrus is. And Cyrus refers to the king of Persia, who is responsible for overthrowing the empire of Babylon and therefore bringing relief and restoration to the people and the nation of Israel and Judah, so that the exiles who are exiled, whether Assyria first and then Babylon later, that the exiles can finally go home. They can return to their land and in some measure or another, relearn what it means to be the people of God. And what's interesting about this, certainly, is that Cyrus doesn't come on the scene, at least in Isaiah's time, until about 200 years later. So that if Isaiah did indeed write these sort of things as a prophecy from God, and I believe that he did, it means that God revealed to him the name of the king of Persia 200 years before he even arrives on the scene. And that should bespeak of God's sovereign power, his unfathomable wisdom to be able to reveal something like that to Isaiah in the around 700 BC. It is remarkable that's what God does. The second thing I want to focus on, look at chapter 45 and beginning in verse 9, it says this: "Woe to him who quarrels with his maker, to him who is but a potsherd among the potsherds of the ground. Does the clay say to the potter, 'What are you making?' Does your work say, 'He has no hands'? Woe to him who says to his father, 'What have you begotten?' or to his mother, 'What have you brought to birth?'" And why I think this is something that's so important is that when it comes to not just seeing the sovereignty of God writ over all of his creation, but making the choice to yield to God's control and his sovereign rule and his lordship is something else entirely. In that, I think that a lot of us, indeed all of us at some time or another, have been in the position where we have quarreled with our maker. That is, seeing what God is doing and looking at him and saying, "Why is it that you're doing this? If I were in charge, I would certainly fix this a lot better than you could." I'm dissatisfied, with the way God is doing his work. Isaiah makes the point pretty clear that in the same way that a potsherd can't look at the potter and say, "Why did you fashion me this way?" Or say a craft say to the craftsman, "You don't have any hands." The very fact that the craft is what it is can only be so because the craftsman has hands. And if we exist as created beings, indeed fashioned and molded in God's image and his likeness, then it would be foolish for us to think that somehow God doesn't know what he's doing. And for that, we are encouraged that even in the midst that this is written to a people who are in exile, and they're asking the hard questions. God, what's going on? Why do you not appear to be close? I can't understand what's happening. That because we do not understand what God is doing does not give us an excuse to quarrel with him, but that if he is indeed sovereign and creator over all the universe, that means that we have evidence enough to know that we can trust him, and that we can give him our lives, and indeed trust that he is going to manifest his perfect and pleasing purposes, not just for us, but through us, for all of creation. And so I would encourage you, do not quarrel with God. You cannot win. But as we read Isaiah, let the message of that God has to say through Isaiah to these exiles in Babylon indeed cultivate trust and warm our hearts and soften our hearts to a place where we can humbly submit before God and continue to put him first in all we say and do. So that's our devotion, at least for Isaiah chapter 45. If you haven't, do please click subscribe to the YouTube channel. And until then, God bless you and keep you. And I can hardly wait to see you, be it this Wednesday, Thursday, the next Sunday, doesn't matter to me. As soon as I can see you, I'm glad to do so. So take care, guys. Love you.